Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesdays in the Shop. I'm Yvette,
I'm Andrea.
And I'm Jen.
and we're Gotham Quilts. The three of us together are Gotham Quilts in New York City. I am very excited about today's live because we're announcing our next Block of the Month program. And we haven't launched a Block of the Month since
Summer?
the fall? Yeah, or the summer.
Yeah, Lovely Day started in October.
I think the first shipment was November, right? So I think we launched it in
Yes.
September.
Yep.
Which is way longer than we normally go between launching Block of the Month programs.
We had a couple
Usually,
other things going on.
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff going on, right? And usually we try to run more than one at a time. And when we finished Lovely Day last month, we don't have another one running. So we were like, now is the time. So, are you ready? The next one is going to be, Nana's watching us and she said, I'm looking forward to learning this technique. You know why? Because she is Jen's grandmother, and she knows, Jen's grandmother, Jen's mom already knows what this is going to be.
She has a little inside information.
Yep. So drum roll, please. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what the quilt's going to be. Hooray! The quilt is going to be the Zoo Family Portrait Quilt, which you may remember in the last couple of months, we actually have been talking about this quilt a couple of times because we were introduced to it basically for QuiltCon. The designer's name is Cassandra Bieber. Online, she goes by My Not So Dramatic Life, so you might follow her on Instagram, and if you don't, you should. And we partnered with her at QuiltCon to be the representatives for this design. We had her sample in our booth. We were selling kits and patterns, and we all just fell in love with it.
And everyone did. Like, we had it up in the booth, and we literally had to put a person next to it just to answer questions about that one quilt. People would walk by, they would stop and come in just to get a better look at this quilt. Like everyone that saw it was floored by it.
Yeah. And we like the most common question was like, that looks like a lot of work. Well, I guess that's not a question, but like it was like, whoa, that seems like a lot, right? This is a foundation paper piece pattern, which you might be able to tell just by looking at it. But when Cassandra originally designed it, she actually designed it as a 12-month Block of the Month program. So when you get the pattern, it's written in 12 sections that are subsections of the whole, and then they get sewn together to make the whole picture. Because that's how we're going to run it.
A lot of work. And so it is a lot of work. So breaking it up into 12 smaller pieces makes a lot of sense for something like this.
Yes, you're basically breaking it up into monthly chunks. And at the year, you have a whole quilt.
Right. And the quilt is 60 by 84, so it's not gigantic, but it is a good size. If you did want to make it like a bed size, you could put a border around it. But as it is, I mean, I think a lot of people would probably put this on the wall. And it is a good size for that if you have like a focus wall or something and really show off all that hard work you did.
Yeah, and because this is all foundation paper piecing and it's not really a beginner level pattern, she describes it as an intermediate level foundation paper piecing pattern. What we're going to do as part of our Block of the Month is we're going to be publishing a simple foundation paper piecing pattern that is intended for a beginner and filming a video for how to learn this technique from the very beginning with a beginner-friendly block, step-by-step instructions, so that if this is the first time you've done foundation paper piecing, you don't have to jump right into the opus. You are going to learn on a really approachable, really simple block. And then after you make that little block, which, I don't know, a couple hours of your time to learn the basic technique, then you can start the quilt, right? If you I mean, if you want to start directly on the quilt, you are allowed to, of course,
Absolutely.
but we don't recommend that. We recommend picking up the basics of foundation paper piecing with the video that we will include in the block of the month first. Jen, you're going to be doing that video, right?
Yes, I will have that video, and we'll put it up like on our YouTube channel. So it'll be,
Yeah,
everybody
it'll be
can
on
look
YouTube.
at it.
And then you can download the foundation paper pattern for the little block and just print it out at home and then learn how to do it. And then you can jump right in.
And if you haven't done foundation paper piecing, the technique is like, once you know the technique, it doesn't really get any harder. Like it's, you know, it's sewing on a line. Like most of us can do that. So yeah, so it only gets more pieces. So it doesn't, the technique stays exactly the same. It doesn't get any more complicated. It just adds more pieces.
Yeah.
But once you have that technique down, it's really simple.
Yeah, what's nice about foundation paper piecing is that you get these very fine details without having to have an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Right.
So for those of us like me who are not very careful piecers, foundation paper piecing lets you kind of like not worry about your seam allowance for a lot of the work. Right?
Or
You're just sewing
little
on a
tiny
line.
pieces. I mean, there is a lot of detail in this quilt, and those little tiny pieces would be such a pain to piece normally. But with the foundation piecing, it's not a big deal. Little pieces are not a big deal.
Yeah, and like no applique, right? Because someone might look at this quilt and think, oh, are those all appliqued? Nope, it's all foundation paper piecing. So all sewn by machine by sewing right on the line on the pattern that you get.
This is not one you want to do by hand. So we should just mention that. It would be fun to quilt by hand, but you do not want to piece this by hand. So if you're opposed to machine, you might want to skip this one.
Yeah, so some people get confused about the term foundation paper piecing versus English paper piecing. We're not talking about English paper piecing, which is the one that's done by hand, where you baste fabric by hand onto templates or papers and then sew those together. This is the foundation paper where the design is printed on a piece of paper, and then you put the fabric on the paper and you stitch. And Andrea is about to show you one of the best things about this pattern is how Andrea designed it.
So we have, so this is the first block, which is block A, koala. And so she has very detailed instructions here, as you can see. Actually, before you even get to the first block, she gives you a fabric chart. So you can put swatches of the fabric on the paper, you know, so you can follow, because she has little graphics basically to designate which, oh, and then I'll show you the pattern. That'll make more sense too. So you can see. So for template A, there's for block A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 papers. And this is what the foundation papers look like. So these are all 2-scale, ready to sew on, basically. But so if you see the texture here, which is just a diagonal line, you can then go to your fabric key, and I see that the diagonal blue line, uh-oh, I don't see a diagonal blue line. Oh, because this is, that's why. So, but it does say number 5. So I should be able to find that medium river blue. So that one is right here. So it would be this one, I think. So that is super helpful. And you can, because what I usually do when I do foundation paper, I just write on the pattern, like this one is the blue stripe. This one is the red, dark red, light red, whatever it is. You can just write right on here. And then this is what you will actually be sewing on. So you just know, and it's all numbered here. So you start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that section is done. And then she shows you how to sew the sections together. So the pattern itself is super detailed. You don't have to go to the copy store and get things copied. You can just use what you've got right here. Everything is included, and very straightforward, well thought out and documented pattern, which is really nice.
Yeah, I've never seen one before that has color coded
Me neither.
fabrics on the actual foundation paper. Usually you get a pattern that'll have one copy of the foundation paper design and you have to photocopy it onto foundation paper, or you have to blow it up, like
Right.
make it 30% bigger or whatever it is. And you know, they have those little squares that say like measure this to be an inch,
Right.
so that you know that you're doing it correctly.
She does have that
None
too.
of that.
So if you
None
did
of
want
that
to
is
copy
true.
this to make it, if you wanted to make it again, because you can only use these once.
Oh, that's a good point.
So if you wanted to make this quilt more than once, you would have to copy these so that you would have another set to use later. But it does have that 1 inch mark. Everything is very clearly labeled. And it's very well organized in the pattern as well. It's a nice big pattern.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it
Just
here.
the pattern weighs like 5 pounds or something, doesn't it?
It's not that much, but it's not light.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there's a lot included here, which makes your paper piecing experience a lot easier. It's a lot harder to get mixed up and put the wrong fabric in, you know, the spot or whatever. It's a lot more straightforward.
Yeah. I guess we should talk next about timelines. So the first month of the block of the month will be July 2024. And as we mentioned, it's a 12-month project. So every month you will get a shipment, although I shouldn't get ahead of myself. Okay, so it's a 12-month project. So you're going to start month 1, finish month 12. So the last month is June of 2025. This time around, for the first time, we're giving an extra option when you sign up. We've pretty much always given you the option to either pay for the whole program up front for a bit of a discount, or to sign up for monthly installments, or like, you know, 3 installments, whatever it is, depending on the setup of the block of the month. We're keeping those 2 options, but this time around, we're giving you a third option, which is to receive the entire package up front in month 1, instead of keeping track of different packages every month. And also it lets you sew ahead of time if you want. So like maybe you know that you're going to have a lot of time in these months, and then you won't have any time for these 3 months. Instead of receiving a package every month, you will get everything up front, and then you sew whenever you want. You still have access to the block of the month group and all the materials for the full 12 months of the program, but you won't get 12 shipments. You get 1 shipment and have everything to go from day 1. Which is actually how we always ran international subscribers, right? Because like we don't want to ship 12 packages to like Paris. What are the chances all 12 are going to get there, right? So when we give international members access, which sometimes we don't, depending on the program, we always did it by sending them 1 package in the first month that had everything. So basically, this time around, we're extending that option even for American addresses. So you basically have 3 options. You can get monthly shipments and pay them up front. You can get monthly shipments and pay them monthly, or you can get 1 shipment up front and then participate for the 12 months at your own pace. Hopefully that was explained clearly enough, because we actually had a very hard time finding the right words to explain those 3 options. So if you're confused, please put it in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. We'll be
probably
happy to
someone else is also confused. If you're confused, I'm about to put the QR code up for the page on our website where you can go look at all the options. And on this page, you'll see explained the timeline, what's included. You're going to get all the fabrics for the top and the binding, and they are all confetti cotton solids, which is our favorite line of solids. It has these really beautiful primary saturated kind of colors. Jen spent like 2 hours picking out these colors.
There's 25 colors.
Yeah.
25.
Is not fun to have to pick out. So the fact that you can get it all, you know, we've done that work, and you just have to do the fun part, the sewing.
Can you imagine how much the quilt shop would love it if you went in and said,
until you told them the amount you wanted cut, and because there's like 10 different amounts.
all different.
Yeah. If you said, I just want a yard of everything, they'll love you, but
Right.
you might not want to spend that much. The binding, I just have to clarify, the binding is actually a little stripe. So it's not a solid, but we picked out.
Oh, I completely missed that detail. Okay, let's put the picture back up.
You
can
can't really
tell
see
how
that picture. So
I'm not the
I
most
thought I'd mention it.
detail-oriented person in this team, right? That's Andrea's job. So let's see if I can make this a
When you
little
look
bit
at it on
bigger.
your computer, you'll probably be able to see it, but on this, it's a little bit
Right,
hard
I'm
to see.
trying to make it bigger so people can see it. All right,
But
let's
it's a nice little stripe that matches the background.
trying it this way.
I can't wait to get started on this. I'm so excited.
Or yeah, you said you're going to make it with your mom, right?
Yes, which means that my mom and I are going to probably make the first 2 or 3 months, and I'm going to make two versions of the whole thing.
All right, now you can see that it's a stripe.
Yay!
Yay! What colors are they, Andrew? Are they blue and?
It's like a cream, and then the blue background color.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right, let's go.
And then we have 2 backing options as well. We have one just a blender option, which for those people that are not so colorful, and then we have a very colorful option as well. So if you want to pick up some of those colors that are on the front, have a nice, fun, bright back. We have the terrain wave option, and then we also have a gray deco stitch option as well. Both are 108s, so you will not have to piece them. They're ready to go.
Yeah, I hate having to piece a back. Like after you piece the front, you just want to go, right?
Yeah.
So having that extra step of, oh, I still have to make my back, then I lose steam and I put it away and I don't come back to it for 3 years.
And then having all those seams in there too, which you might not be able to get all the paper out of easily. Just not having a seam across the back is going to make the quilting easier too. I have a habit of making a lot of pieced backings, and my quilters often complain. So this makes it easy for everyone.
I love a wide back. It's so much.
And I love a pieced back.
I like a piece back too, but why is it always that when you have 16 seams coming together on the front, there's always a piece seam that matches up perfectly on the back?
Yeah, that I can't answer, but.
And then you try not to quilt right in that little spot, and it has to go right in that spot.
Yeah. That's where you break your needle.
Yes. So in addition to the 2 backing options, we're also offering a couple of add-on items that just make foundation paper piecing more enjoyable to do. The first one is this, sorry?
And easier, I think.
Oh yeah, probably. This first one is this 1/4 ruler. You may be familiar with this. This is a product that we've sold for years. And in one of the emails recently where we were talking about those earrings that are also foundation paper, we were promoting the 1/8 ruler, which is a variant of this ruler. If you already have an 1/8, you could probably just use the 1/8.
Oh, yeah.
But for this project, because it's bigger than those little earrings, we're suggesting a 12-inch 1/4 ruler. The ruler, the 1/8, is only 6 inches long, which is probably not long enough for almost all the seams that you're going to be sewing. The way this ruler works is you put it down and trim the excess after you've sewn that seam. So you're sewing on the line on the pattern, you fold it back over, and then you put the ruler down and you trim. It makes the excess easier to trim away.
Mm-hmm.
We use this every time we do foundation paper piecing.
Absolutely. I don't do paper piecing without one.
Right. So if you tried to use your regular ruler that's a flat ruler, you'd be kind of like juggling with it because the one side is thicker than the other side. So this,
and you'd be in danger of it slipping, because this isn't going to slip.
Yes, right, exactly. So we really like 1/4 ruler. The next product we're suggesting, not necessary, but it's a nice to have, is the Violet Craft seam roller. There's other seam rollers on the market, but this one is such a beautiful one aesthetically, and also when you hold it, it just feels so nice in your hand. It feels like a tool that's going to last.
Yeah, the other ones I've seen have a rubber roller, and I think the wood works better, but I haven't actually tried the rubber, so I can't say, but this is my favorite.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I also don't do foundation paper piecing without this either.
Hold on one second, I'm just answering somebody's question. Yeah, so this tool, the reason we're suggesting it is so that you don't have to get up and press every seam, right? So normally when you press a seam, you use your iron to press it so that it goes flat, right? With foundation paper piecing, you're making a lot of little tiny seams. It can be kind of annoying to get up and go to the ruler. I mean, go to your iron every time. So what we like to do is we use the seam roller to press the seam flatter so that we don't have to go back to the iron as often. So maybe you would like stitch 3 or 4 seams, roll them with the roller, and then go to the iron and press it flatter. I suppose you could just roll it too, instead of then going to the iron. It would just maybe not be quite as flat. But yeah, it's a really lovely roller. I love mine. I use it all the time. Andrea or Jen should talk about this tweezer, because this is something I don't personally use, but both of them love them.
This is what Cassandra Beaver recommended. So the author of the pattern, she had two, well, she also suggested the roller and the add-a-quarter ruler as well, but she specifically recommended this product. It's a set of precision tweezers. There's 2 different kinds of tweezers with a different head. And this is super helpful for tearing the papers out after you've done the sewing. Sometimes it can get really hard to get some of those papers out, like where seams meet and in corners and things. So this will really help you get right in there and get those little pieces of paper out. And then there was another product that she recommended that
I had never even heard of this product.
I haven't used it yet, but I am absolutely getting one.
I literally never heard of this before.
So this is a foundation paper piecing pen, and it just has water in it, but it has a precise, like, kind of brush tip almost. So you can just put the water right on the seam, which will kind of weaken the paper, and then it'll make it easier to rip out later, which I am really excited about, actually, because I want to try this. And they're even reusable. So when it runs out of water, you can refill it and keep using it.
Oh, that's a smart detail that I didn't even think about.
Yeah, so I'm happy that Cassandra suggested these products, because I think they're going to make everyone's life easier.
Yeah. And I checked with her. It's not just that she likes Carolina. She said she won't do foundation paper piecing without the water pens anymore.
So I had literally never heard of this concept before, but everyone maybe already knows, if you've been watching us for a while, that I have problems with my hands, right? I don't have good grip strength, and my hands get sore. So when I'm doing foundation paper piecing, it takes me forever to tear out the papers, because I can only do so much, especially because you have to grip that tiny little section, right? That's the kind of thing my hands can't do. I can't apply pressure on a small grip. So when I found out this existed, I was like, are you serious? Like, how did I not know this existed?
Right.
Didn't know this existed for this many years, right? Like, this is, I need this. Absolutely. My poor hands need this. I think that's all of the add-on items that we're suggesting.
Yep.
Yeah. So backing options and a few tools that make foundation paper piecing easier. Technically, you don't need any of these. These are just nice to haves.
You're gonna
Sorry?
You're gonna want them.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah, I feel like I generally suggest to people that if you are going to be doing something for a while, that it's worth investing in some tools that are specifically made for that thing. So an example I always use is like an invisible zipper foot, right? If your sewing machine didn't come with an invisible zipper foot, and you almost never put in an invisible zipper, maybe you do one every couple of years, maybe you don't need to invest in an invisible zipper foot. But if you're going to be putting in invisible zippers, I don't know, every month, every other month, you want that foot, right? It saves you so much time, so much juggling. And in this case, there's a lot of foundation paper piecing. Yep. You're going to be doing this, right? So when you have the right tools and you're doing something a lot, it really makes it so much more enjoyable to spend all those hours at your sewing machine.
Yeah, the add-a-quarter ruler, I have one, and I'm actually going to get a new one because they have the new tapered edge. But I hemmed and hawed over buying it for a long time, and then I got it, and I was like, oh my God, this is so much better, because otherwise it's easy to forget and cut the wrong thing.
Sure is.
And having that little lip, like, what is this supposed to line up with every time? It made a huge difference for me.
Yeah, it really does. And the last thing you want after doing all that is to have your ruler slip and cut through the pattern or the paper or the
or the wrong side of the thing that you're supposed to be cutting. Yeah. 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 Ask us how we know this, right?
Right.
Yeah. What are we forgetting to mention?
I think Kathy asked about the price of shipping. The shipping is included in everything except for the international option. That one you do have to pay some of the shipping, but everything else it is included. So whether you're getting it shipped monthly, whether you're paying monthly or not, that's included. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yep. And I just realized what we didn't mention is that we are offering on the option to not get the pattern. If you already bought this pattern, the pattern by itself is like an $80 pattern. So no one's going to want to buy 2 of those, right? So if you already own the pattern because you bought this and you're like, one day I'm going to make this, when you sign up, just click the box that says fabric only instead of the box that says fabric and pattern, and we'll ship you the fabrics without the pattern.
Yeah.
And that's an option for all 3 sign up options. So I'll just share my screen real quick. I'll show you. So there's 3 top level categories of sign up options that you can do. And this one is if you want to get monthly shipments and you want to pay in full up front. This one is if you want to get monthly shipments, but you want to pay for them monthly. And then this one is if you want to get one single shipment at the front and then work for 12 months at your own pace. Or if you're an international customer, you have to pick this one. You probably don't want to pick either of these either because that would be a lot of shipping, but this is the option if you're international. Or if you're a US customer and you just want it all up front so you can do your own schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we probably missed some detail. Because this went a little
questions. Let us know.
Yeah, let's give people time to like churn through what we said and come up with some questions. It is very hard to explain these programs. We work really hard on the wording and the like how we lay it out and all that kind of stuff, but we're aware that it might not be as clear. Oh, I just remembered something. We are offering 15% off if you sign up in the next 2 weeks. Big detail, no coupon code needed. You see when I shared the screen, you might have noticed that it said they were on sale. So these 3 options, which are the actual block of the month sign up options, these will be 15% off through April 15th, at which point they go to full normal price. The add-on items, I'm gonna refresh this page because this add-on item, so this was on sale, it just was displaying weird. The add-on items will keep being 10% off until we launch the block of the month or until we sell out. We do have a limited amount of seats that we can take. So if we sell out before July 1st, we'll close signups a little bit ahead of time. But don't worry, we will for sure send an email out and tell people that it's happening. If it happens, it might not sell out before July 1st. It might. What did I forget?
I can't think of anything else. I'm sure we did forget something, but I can't think of what it was.
Right.
We'll set up our space in Gotham in our Mighty Network space, and we'll have we'll have a meeting at the beginning.
We can do that. So Jen is mentioning that when you join this block of the month, and actually any of our block of the months, you get access to a community space inside our Gotham Quilts community website, which is like our own private Facebook, essentially. And we make a space inside that only the members of that block of the month have access to. So you can ask each other questions, you can post pictures of your progress, and the educational content that we have, like the thing we explained at the beginning of the video, that we're going to do a video to give you the basics of how to make the technique, the foundation paper piecing technique. That's where you would find those references. And Jen is saying that if people want, we could do a Zoom call, like a live Zoom call, and answer questions. We would wait to hear from the people who sign up what they would like to do, and we can be flexible.
Mm-hmm. I like to be supportive and do Q&A sessions. I have no problem doing that. I love it. Tell me I need to spend some time on the computer. So
I know, talking about quilting too, right? And fabric.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and if you're intimidated by this pattern, give the free download a try. I'll have that up on the website this week, and then we'll, go from there.
That's true. You could try it beforehand and see if you like it, and then sign up. That makes a lot of sense. Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff out there already.
Yes.
People have talked about, and I think Cassandra Beaver has something on her website about like a little starter project before this one. But honestly, I really like doing foundation paper piecing. It satisfies my need for precision and knowing that I know how it's going to come out. So you'll have it down pat. You'll be able to do it in your sleep when you finish this pattern.
Yeah.
And don't be too afraid of it. I do know a few people that hate it, but most people, once they get the rhythm down and the technique down, they don't have any problems with it.
Yeah. You once made that really intense sneaker block, right? It was like this big. Yeah. It had all these details in it.
Very tiny pieces, but it looks so cool when it came out.
It really does look so cool.
And I did the Carolyn Friedlander when she taught with us one of her foundation paper piece patterns, and that was really cool because she was showing like precision paper piecing. So that's showing me how to like fussy cut shapes and stuff into places, which this pattern you don't have to worry about that. It's all solids. That's the next level.
So what Andrew's saying is you could make it even more complicated if you wanted to.
Yes. But you don't have to.
No.
Oh, that's one of the best parts about this pattern is it's all solids, so there's no sewing it in the wrong way.
Yep.
Yes.
No front back, none of it, all good.
Yeah.
So it does take a little
bit
of the complexity out of it.
Because I have definitely done it backwards and had to pull it out. In general, when you do foundation paper piecing, you want to shrink down your stitch length, right? Yes. Because you can imagine when you're done and you go to rip out all those papers that you might rip a stitch if you were too rough with it. So one of the things people do is they shrink their stitch length to like a 1.5, which means if you make a mistake, it's even more annoying to pull it out.
So ripping is painful.
Yeah. So it's tiny stitches that are hard to see are much harder to rip, right? So anything that makes it easier, like it's all solids, less ripping going to be involved.
Right. There are tools. Melissa is asking. Yes, there are tools to help rip out the paper, and we have those on the website. We have a set of precision tweezers that helps with ripping out the papers. This is the version that Cassandra Beaver suggested and recommended for this project. We also have a water pen specifically for foundation piecing that you can just run along the seam and it'll weaken the paper right there at the seam and make it easier to rip those papers out.
This is like the most exciting thing to come out of this block of
when we saw it this morning, we're like, oh my God, we need this.
That this thing exists. I didn't know this existed.
I didn't either. And I'm so happy we found out.
I can't wait till this arrives. I am definitely buying this.
So yes, we've done a little bit of that background work for you to try to help make this process easier for everyone.
Yep. And all the add-on items we're offering at 10% off. So if you sign up for the block of the month and you add any of the suggested add-on items, they're 10% discount.
And they will all ship with the first month shipment.
Yes, good point. Yeah. All the add-ons ship in month 1, which is July.
Right. And that includes the backing. We know that you don't need it until the end, but honestly, you're paying for it up ahead, so you might as well get it sooner. And honestly, that's just less that we have to keep here. So
keep track of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to get it to you as soon as I can.
For 12 months, yeah. It's better for you to keep it for 12 months than for us. What were we talking about? My thought went right out of my head.
Let's see. Yeah, we have 2 backing options. We have the tools to help make the process easier. There are 3 options for payment / shipping. We have a pay in full upfront, ship every 12 months or once a month. We have a pay in installments and ship every month. And then we also have a ship everything upfront, give it to me now option that is for domestic or international customers.
Yeah, so I think that's basically everything we wanted to tell you about. If you do think of a question that we didn't cover, you know how to reach us. Send us an email to info@gothamquilts.com or put a comment on this video and I'll see it even later. Are there any other options to how they can tell us? I guess they could leave a comment in any social media and we would see that too.
And one of us is available most of the time. So it'll most likely be a vet that responds to you, but one of us will get back to you soon.
The one of us that's got her phone permanently attached to her hand. Yeah.
Yes. And that's not me.
No. Well, thanks for coming. We will be back Tuesday at our normal time, 6:30. Oh, wait, do we have any housekeeping?
Tomorrow is Tara Fonin in Thread Talks.
Yes, I forgot. Okay, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to her talk.
Look at this. Kathy already is joining us. Yay, Kathy, you're the best. Okay, so let's real quick remind everybody about Tara Fonin. So for anyone who's new to hanging out with us, we do a monthly lecture series called the Thread Talks. And they're always the first
Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, my brain is like struggling right now. It's always the first Wednesday of the month, and this coming Wednesday is the first Wednesday of April or whatever freaking month we're in. So tomorrow is Wednesday, and tomorrow is Tara Fonin Day. So let me share my screen here.
And Tara is like the master of color.
Yes.
If you have any interest in color whatsoever, she's great.
So her talk, some of the talks that we have, we basically recruit people we think are cool that we want to hear from, and then they tell us what they want to talk about. And we work with them to like adjust or whatever, but basically they talk about what they want to talk about. Tara's is actually very educational. Not all of the lectures are super educational. Some of them are like overviews or their history or whatever it is, right? Tara is going to be talking about value. So if you don't know the word value, Andrea, why don't you explain value since you're the color person?
Sure. If you're in my color journey, we haven't got to value yet, but we will soon. Value is the lightness or darkness of a color. So as you can see in the quilt behind Tara there, she has some dark triangles, some light triangles, and the contrast between the two is what is going to create depth in your quilt and more interest. So that's what she's going to talk about. So join in tomorrow to learn more about value.
And value is one of those things that initially is kind of intimidating, right? Like the concept of like this one is light and this one is dark is pretty clear if there's a big difference between them. But when you get to like, here's an orange and here's a green, right, which one is lighter or darker, your eye doesn't like intuitively see that. So learning how to handle that. What is that clicking noise?
I thought it was you.
It's me?
I thought it was. I don't know what it is.
Oh, you're hearing clicking?
Yeah.
That's me. Sorry, I'll stop.
Is it typing?
Yes. I have a super loud keyboard because I'm a brat. I forget that I'm here. It's Lissa's fault.
Amazing. Okay. I am about to put a QR code on the screen if you want to sign up for the talk that is tomorrow night with Tara Fonin. You can scan that QR code and get all the information. It is at 8 o'clock New York City time, so 8 o'clock Eastern. And we run for about an hour. Sometimes they speak for like 45 minutes and then we have 10 minutes of questions. We log on, it's in Zoom, so like no new software to learn or anything. That's the software everyone's used to. We will log on a little bit early so that everyone can get their tech figured out. So like by like 10 of, we will have been logged on and ready. And we hope you can come, because I think this talk is going to be like the kind of talk that after you leave, you want to go sew immediately, you know?
I'm so excited. Tara's so cool, and her use of color is like nobody else. You can walk through a quilt show and you can tell that it's Tara's stuff from a mile away.
Yeah.
Like,
she has a very unique style.
Yeah, we had her teach at the store a couple years ago, and I sat in for a little bit of it, and it was really great.
How many years ago was that?
It was a long time ago. She taught me big city.
At least 4.
Yeah, so like 2018-ish. Yeah, I mean, it was certainly before 2020. Yeah,
I think it was
time has lost. I think 2018. Yeah, time has lost all meaning, right? It's like, how could that have been 6 years ago? Right. That's wild to me.
But we like lost a couple of years there. Basically, it feels like we did anyway.
Barbara is asking, if you sign up for monthly shipments, do you get the whole pattern at the beginning? No, you don't. You get each section in every shipment every 12 months. You get pattern and fabric every 12 months.
And that's if you pay monthly or if you pay up front.
Yes.
Unless you choose to pay up front and get the whole thing shipped to you at once.
Which wouldn't be the monthly option.
Correct.
Okay. We tried so hard with this terminology. You have no idea. All right. Well, I think now we actually are done. Thank you so much, Jen, for reminding me to mention Tara's talk tomorrow. I think it's going to be fabulous. And I hope lots of you can join us for the fun. We do a thread talk every month, the first Wednesday of the month, and they're $25 each if you're going to register individually for them. But you could also join our Club Gotham membership program that it's kind of like Amazon Prime. And included in that membership, you get 12 months of thread talks. So instead of paying $25 each, you pay $125 and get 12. It's a pretty good deal. All right, we will see you next week.
More than 5 that you want to see.
Oh, I would think, yeah. I mean, I think they've all been pretty awesome so far. So.
I think so.
And we're working on the lineup. If you look at the site, there's only through July. We're working on the lineup for after July. Hint, hint, Jen. Guess whose job
I got it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us. We love seeing you every week, and we will be back next week with more of our shenanigans. And we don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we will figure it out, and we will be back at 6:30 Tuesday night, just like every week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.